Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to use the UI content unavailable configuration in UIKit application for iOS. So this is basically used if you want to show an empty state, a progress bar, or in case if an error screen as well. I mean, it can be used for other purposes as well, but these are the main three reasons why you want to use it. So firstly, I have just created a UIKit application and this is our basic view controller, right? Then what I have done is that I have created this UI content unavailable configuration as empty. Then I have set some image to it. So this particular image is coming from these iOS system images. Then I have applied some text to it as well, and then I have applied some secondary text, and all we have to do is content unavailable configuration is equal to config. So this is present inside a view controller, so you require an access to a view controller to display this. So that's what I'm using over here. Now if I show you guys the output, so here you can see this is the output for it. So this is the first way. Now I will show you the second way as well for loading state. So it is pretty simple. I can use something like this, okay, and I can comment this out. I don't really need this. So if I just want to show a loading state, I can just create a config and apply to our content unavailable configuration. I will just relaunch my app just to show you guys the output. And here you can see this is the loading state being displayed inside our app. Now the third way is to display a UI hosting configuration. Like this involves Swift UI as well, to display the progress view. So I can use it like this. I'll just go to my view controller, I'll comment this out now, and I will use it like this. And I have to also import Swift UI. This is basically used if you want to display a progress state. Suppose if you are downloading a file, here I have hard coded the progress value, but you can change the progress value according to what you are downloading. Here we are creating our UI hosting configuration. So this is our progress view, and this is our text as well, and this is the foreground style of secondary. Now if I again rerun my application, here you can see I'm able to see the downloading file progress view. Now here you can, given that this is a Swift UI view, you can do whatever you feel like. Here it can contain whatever you want, so it's up to you. I mean, this is not only used to display this UI content unavailable configuration, but you can display whatever you feel like. So yeah, now I will remove everything. I want to show you one advanced use case. So what I will do is I will call one basic API. So it is a publicly available API which gives dummy data. So we are calling a network API, a REST API I mean, and I will display a table view as well. And once we have fetched the data, I will display all that data inside a table view. Now fetching that data from that API will take a little bit of time, so I want to display a loading indicator first. Once the data has been fetched, I will display it inside a table view. But suppose in case if there is any error, then what we want to do is we want to display an error screen as well. So I want to show all of that. So I will just copy some code and then I'll explain it to you guys. Okay, let me just copy some code. I don't require any Swift UI anymore. We just define this struct. I will just copy all of this and I'll paste it over here. Okay, so I'll just add one comma. So first I'll explain you guys the output. Okay, invalid redeclaration of to do. Okay, because I have defined it over here, so I'll just comment this out. Okay, now first I'll run the application. Hopefully you got the point. I'm calling an API. It will fetch some data and it will display the data inside our table view. That's the first use case. And here I have purposefully added a 5 seconds delay just so that I can simulate that particular just so that I can show you that progress bar, right? Okay, I don't know why I'm getting this. Okay, I need to comment this out as well. Okay, I'll just rerun my application. Hopefully this time it will run. So firstly, it should display loading indicator. Okay, this is fine. Then it will display all the data which is inside my table view. Okay, so this is displayed fine. And now what I will do, I will purposefully disable my Wi-Fi. Okay, and I will run my application again. Now it will show an error indicator to me. So it is showing loading, but after some time the API will throw error, and here you can see it is showing me something went wrong. Now for loading as well as for something went wrong, I am using this UI content unavailable configuration, so it's up to you. So I will just allow this. Okay, so firstly this is how the data I get from my API call. So I get an ID, I get a title as well as a completed. Now for table view, we require the UI table view data source as well as delegate. I have created an array of to-dos. This is our table view, and this is the UI content unavailable configuration for loading state. And here show error is false. I will tell you why I'm using this later on. Then inside view did load, we are just setting the config to our view controllers content unavailable configuration. We are setting up our table view, and I have purposefully added a 5 seconds delay. You should not do this for production application. This was just to show you guys the output. And here we are fetching our to do. So for setting the table view, we set the delegate data source, register our cell, and then add our table view to our view. Then this is ns layout constraints to occupy the entire width and height. Then for fetching to dos, this is the URL. Okay, and here you can see I'm using URL session.shared.data task. If you want to use async await, that's fine as well. I'm just using completion handler, doesn't really matter. This is for error. I'll come back to error later on because that is more important. Then here once we get, in case if the API is successful, we get the data, we decode that data. And here I set this as nil because we are already displaying this loading indicator, right? So we don't want to show that. That's why I'm making this as nil and then reloading our table view to display that data inside our table view. And here I'm just overriding some methods for our table view, like number of rows in section, cell for row at. Okay, and this I will come back later on. Okay, so hopefully you got till here. Now this particular method, so suppose in case of error I want to change it from loading screen to error screen, right? So in that case this particular method is very important. Be extremely careful that if you override this particular method, this does get called as soon as your view controller loads. Okay, so that's why I have added this show error, because I want to display this particular error UI only when there is an error. If I don't add this show error check, instead of showing my loading screen, it will automatically show error screen for me, which I don't want at the very start. I only want to show error screen if there is genuinely an error. That's why this particular method gets called as soon as your view controller loads. It also gets called, so if I come to over my error clause, it also gets called when you call this particular method, set needs update content unavailable configuration. That's why before calling this method I am making this as true. So once this method is called, it will automatically call this particular method, and I'm just checking, okay, show error is true. Then I was showing that loading indicator, right? I'm making it as nil. Then I'm just displaying this error config. So I'm just defining image text, secondary text, and I'm also defined one retry button as well. And here you can see this is our primary action. For our button, so in a case our button is clicked, again we are calling the fetch to dos method, and then we are assigning that error config to our content unavailable configuration. So if you see over here, I have reconnected to my Wi-Fi, and if I click on this refresh button, here you can see it is automatically showing now this particular thing. So be very careful. This method gets called twice: once as soon as your view controller loads, and second wherever you call this particular method. So obviously some of you might be thinking that if this particular method gets called immediately once view controller load, why are we setting this loading indicator over here? You can add an else clause as well over here, and if it is not an error, then display this loading indicator, something like this. But just for simplicity's sake, I am assigning at the very start, just because that's how my brain works. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.